sa ga ma sa ni re ni sa ga ma ni sa ga ma.
Of the descent has a faster segment which begins with a step that is familiar to us as Tapata Jantarita, but there is a small raising of the left foot. So the movement goes Takka Mi. Now when the left foot is raised, it is important to not lean back. So the movement takes you forward. So keeping the line of the body, takka mi, takka mi, takka mi. Now, let's see that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Takka mi, takka mi, takka mi, takka mi. Now, in all of these kinds of positions, the Natya Rangam becomes your home. The mudra cannot bend forward. So you want to have the Natya Rangam placed in such a way that there is a high degree of symmetry. Because as you orient, in this you're going to be orienting towards one side when you're looking. Is that right? So this hand is still holding at exactly the same place without coming in. So you have to do a little bit of compensation. Otherwise, every time you move towards one side, so if the movement is going and I don't compensate, you see what is happening? My hands are pulling downwards and my body is also collapsing on the left side. So what happens is every time you bend, you have to compensate and lift this hand a little higher so that you can still maintain this position. The stability of the Natya Rangam is what determines all of the alignments in this segment. So any of the movements that pull you away from it have to still get the centering that the Natya Rangam provides. In the position where the leg comes up in the forward position, I want the hand to be completely extended forward. Where should that hand be? So here we use again the geometry of the body, the L, the imaginary line that is coursing through the collarbone, taking the axis and dividing it into two. And I'm going to find the midpoint of that, and from here I'm reaching for that. 1, 3, 4. Now the turn of the head. If you notice, the more you're able to rotate your neck, the more you're able to show off your hand positions. So if your neck is stuck somewhere here, then it is only your eye that is trying to turn to the hand. So once again, the strength of the back and the flexibility of the back is exceedingly important to be able to deliver lines and show them off with your eyes looking at the hand. Let us now move on to the next part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Takka, takka. This is a very aggressive movement. There is an upward movement, cross at the chest, and a sideways cross back, which happens at a very fast speed. In all of these movements, what I am looking at is where is the shoulder, because it is very easy for the shoulder to come up. So let's demonstrate that. Hiking of the shoulder in this position, taking a lot of tension in the upper trapezius, the muscles that are in this area, is going to narrow the space between the ear and the hands. So it is important to keep the shoulder blades down, the lats engaged, so that you have a very stable position and the shoulder blades are able to allow for that release of the hands to go upward. So let's move on to the cross at the chest. So from here, which is the cross on top, we come to the cross at the chest. Where should this position be? So you don't want to get it again to a lower position, that is below your chest. At the chest, with the elbows up, allow you to translate very quickly into the Natyarambha. Dropping it down, you still have to gain height to come to the Natyarambha. So when there are movements that are very fast in progression, it makes more sense to keep the lines in one plane and then you show another plane of axis. So there are two that you see here, a vertical and a horizontal. There is a change of a mudra from here. There is a rotation. You can demonstrate that. So there is a change of a mudra at the chest, which can be done at 2 points, can be done here, can also be done in this way. This is also a possibility. Let's move on to the next step. So here you have an example of a Tirmanam Adagu, which is done extremely fast to accommodate the music. So all of these very fast movements require you to have stability and speed. Stability can only come if your feet, your knees, your hips, your core, your hands, your neck, your head are all able to maintain themselves in the correct alignments. If not, you're going to look like you're just flying off trying to do the movement where the movement controls you instead of you controlling the movement. So in all of this, stability is what allows me to take those hands and dance as though I'm almost dancing in slow motion. Let us move on to the next step. Tak dhim ni, tak dhim ni, tak dhim ni, tak dhim ni, tak dhim ni. So in this section, once the really fast movements have been executed, there is a high note for which I am using the body to create the sensation of that note. In all of these kinds of movements where the hand and the body are showing a wave, it is important to remember to not also show that wave with standing up and coming down. Because what will happen if I do the same movement where I am rising and coming back down, as opposed to letting my body showcase the movement while I get stability through my legs. So it's important to maintain the same height of your Aramandi and let this movement be executed by the movement of the torso and the hands. Notice also that when I execute the movement, I don't let my hands drop below shoulder level. So I'm not doing this. I can take it up, but I cannot take it underneath. Because once again, when I take it down, the hand as it travels down also brings me down. And what I'm going to show is an ascending note. So I'm going to create that effect either by going up or by going down and rising with my torso. The next movement has me go to two sides. Tak, dhin, mi. Tak, dhin, mi. So in this section, I am showing the heroine struggling with maintaining a sense of purpose. And to me, this signifies a certain purpose. Now, this is her reaching for that purpose, and even if she temporarily finds something she engages in, that feeling of listlessness, that feeling that she is lost, is so consuming that it again throws her into a sense of turmoil. So let's demonstrate the next unit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tak, dhin, mi, tak, dhin, mi, tak, dhin, mi, tak, dhin, mi. So in this movement that you just did, let's break it up. The first movement, did, te, did, te, did, te. So the first movement that you just did, te. If you notice the way I take my head and the way this hand reaches out in this way is only possible if you're able to completely use your shoulder to accommodate that. So if I am in this position, the movement creates a very different feel. Here I want to show her reaching for something that is lost. So it gives me the length to show that emotion. And I have just taken the body in different orientations. So the first movement is in this orientation. The second movement is in this same orientation, except now you see that I'm bringing this hand forward. And as I'm bringing this hand forward, I'm not letting my elbow drop. So it's important to maintain the lines even in transition. And then as I turn around, so from there, once again, I'm maintaining the line of my body, and then over here as well. So each of these allows me to recruit a slightly different way of moving my shoulders and placing them in different angles with respect to my axis. The two main fulcrum, the hips and the shoulders, are very powerful places of movement, and you can use them to add a lot of dimensions to your work. The last movement, the very last movement of this section, this is a very standard Tattimetta movement. If it is executed as a dance movement, where you're following along the legs and the hands. The movement again in this case provides a certain stability, as we have seen before. So as little movement in any other part. No swaying of the hips, no extra movements of rotation in any way. All of that becomes unnecessary for the particular capture that I want to create. Now, this movement can be executed in different ways with how the head moves in relationship to the hand. For instance, the thrust of the movement can be equal in the way it partitions. So it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can do it as 1, 2, 3, 4. So it creates a different effect between 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the expression there almost lingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's as though she can't take her eyes off something. That cat is a metaphor of her state of mind, of something that is constantly bringing her down. She is never able to tear herself away from that sensation.
Let us review the main points. Compensation of the opposite side arm and body during twisting and bending allows for better delivery of symmetry. Extend both hand and leg fully in this Tahata Jamtarita variation. The midpoint of these geometric axes determine the arm placement. Neck rotation is enabled by spinal twisting. Keep shoulders directed away from ears. Keeping elbows and wrists elevated allow for quick transitions into Natyarambam and back. Likewise, elevated elbows and wrist allow for better registry of these movements along two planes. If the leg extends or the arm moves lower, the sway movement of the upper body does not register. The fulcrum point in the shoulder helps showcase emotions. Keep registering the geometry even during transitions. Also, don't collapse the back and sides in transitions. Changing shoulder fulcrum orientation creates different aesthetics. Stability can be created by cutting out extra movements. Partition movements differently on the time scale to create different moods. Continue watching part 4 of Deconstructing Choreography of the Descent on the Inner Circle.